this is the Hall of Honor, actually, or part of it that hasn't got very much dug out or built just yet. As you can see, I've still got quite a long way to go here. A lot more iron is going to be needed to finish the walls, and up here you can see where it's going to be going up towards the ceiling area. Now the center ceiling area, I'm thinking to continue the archway, continue that arch in glass. I think that'll look pretty good, keep the thing pretty well open. And this is basically what we're looking at here so far. And rooftop coming out from there, with these pillars connecting to it coming out to here, and then this pathway going all the way over to the main base. And I'm making a little bit of progress. It's slow going. I've just today earlier used a good 9 stacks of iron building out the walls and starting a little bit of leader on that roof concept, just to see how that's going to end up looking. Not quite sure how I want to go with it from here, but I'm working on it. Meanwhile, it's time to continue the working tour. So I'm going to gear up with a few things and we'll head out. All right, here we are, all set up. Thought it would be a good idea to continue on this working tour here. And we'll turn that off. And let's head down here to the Gizmo Silent base. I haven't been there in a long time, especially not by rail. And I want to apologize in advance for the extremely jerky, laggy thing that's going on here. And the reason for that is because I'm currently stuck doing this using my laptop, because my desktop machine pretty much bit the big one. And I'm in the process of building a replacement, but it's not going to be working for at least another week or two, so I have no idea. Meanwhile, that's the reason the video quality is really so bad as it is. And I'll catch up with you when we get back down there. And here we are, arriving at the Gizmo Silent base in a very sluggish, jerky, laggy trip, which has taken about 3 times as long as it's supposed to because of all that lag. And that would be the reason that I'm considering this, that I'm doing this whole thing as a working tour, because the lag is just so awesomely bad and awful. Let's see. Now here's an interesting thing. This furnace right here. That bucket of lava, I put that in there back somewhere around beta 1.7.3 or 1.8, somewhere in there. And it's been cooking stone ever since. Every time I come down here, I make sure that it's got a load of stuff in there so that it never has any cause to stop. Although it did this time, just because I don't want it to run out. But I came down this way. This was the first place I ever went exploring out away from the original main base area. I came south. Well, at least back then it was south, before Notch changed the directions. And came down here, set this place up. I was originally going to build on that floating island there, but shortly after I got down here, my cat died, and I decided to turn that into a sort of a memorial. And so that's what it is, and I never go up there anymore. Let's see. I built an extensive branch mine down here, and just shortly, while beta 1.7.3 was still going, I built this. Well, by now it's old style, mushroom farm. Still works, but it takes the mushrooms 18,000 times longer to grow. But I leave it here anyway. And let's see. Yeah, I stayed down here from beta 1.4 when I came down here until beta 1.6 when maps were first introduced, and I used maps to maneuver myself back to where I started from. Well, maps and compasses and so on. Let's see, there is something cool I built back here. This here is the warehouse annex, temporary site of the museum of things that no longer work. Let's see, starting with the earlier things, who remembers the double minecart boosters? Just about the time I got those things figured out in beta 1.5, along comes powered rails and they get to be obsolete. That was just beautiful. And of course over here, this one's a classic, EO water ladder. Now, this one works mainly because there's a ladder in here all the way, but it doesn't actually work. Because back then you didn't have to have a ladder but once every other block. Only the blocks with water coming through did you have to have a ladder. And if you pointed yourself into the corner, you could skyrocket from the world bottom all the way up here. Let's see. And then here, 1.7.2 beta, the piston item duplication thing. You start these pistons going with this clock and put the block you wanted to duplicate here. And it would push out a line of a dozen of those blocks. You just stand down here and mine them and end up with hundreds or chests full of diamond or gold blocks and all that. And over here is another duplication machine, 1.9 pre-release 2, sand and gravel duplication glitch. Sand and or gravel could be duped in this machine, also powered by one of these fast clocks. And it worked great. But they fixed it in the next version or two after that. That was the end of that. Okay, let's see. Another minor storage area. I brought a bunch of stuff down from the main area. And let's see, one of my first portals, I believe. This one goes to a minecart station down here, which has since been expanded. Because not only is there the minecart station out here, but over here is a pathway out to the original Nether Gold Farm. One that I never did manage to finish. So that's one of the things that needs to go on my list of things to do to finish. And what I'm doing with this thing, this whole working thing here. And yes, I've got the fire animation turned off, along with a whole lot of others. Optifine lets me do that. Okay, out here, up that way, that track goes back to the nether side of the main base. And this one, out that way, goes out to the Blaze Farm. I don't think I'm going to head out there just now. In fact, just get back through here. But there's a lot of work that really should be done here. Like this whole warehouse area should be made to look better, more efficient, and so on. Get better lighting, get rid of a lot of these, or even all of these torches. And the warehouse annex here, that this place needs to be refined and made better looking. If it's going to function as a museum, it needs to be made to look like a museum. And that's a major project there all by itself. But that's okay. I'll make a note of it, and we'll figure out what to do. Let's see. a very Spartan little cabin here to sleep in when necessary. And down here, access to a branch mine that I've got like 3 levels dug out all the way, I believe, which, when you realize how big the branch mine is quite a bit there. Let me top this off. And let's see, out here, this was a pretty good project. A reed farm, which I later pistonized so that I could just stand here and hit the button and let all the reeds come down here. If I were to modify this, I'd probably put hoppers down here somewhere and rig up some kind of a clock arrangement for automatic collection. That might be a good idea. So that's another thing that can go on my list of things to do. I don't remember exactly when it is I put all this extra reeds in, but I may end up taking most of it out except for some to stay in for decoration. But the base itself here really needs to be expanded. I'd like to expand into that mountain, back in and up, and have windows along the sides of it in various places, and just have a really large, expansive kind of base built right into this mountain. That would be a pretty good project, I think. And more slab work along the edges here to enable getting up and down to the beach area without having to do all that bloody jumping that I really dislike doing that much of. So there's a lot going on here. And I think this station needs work too. Like, for example, a lot of this solid glass could come out and be replaced with glass panes. And this little not let the monsters in doorway thing could be reworked, should be reworked, in such a way as to hide it on the inside as well as on the outside. A little bit of urban renewal here to just kind of move that wall out a few blocks and then enclose that whole mess so that it's not visible from inside the station. Quite a amount of stuff to do. And back then, you can see it out there, sort of, I think. Yeah, I was putting supports under the track. And I'm kind of thinking maybe it might be an idea to do that with all of the track, which in itself would be a monstrous job because I've got more track in this world than most people ever built. At least that's what I think. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure of it because I have at least one track that's 9,000 blocks long. Or, to borrow an internet meme, over 9,000 blocks long. Not that I'm quite exactly sure where that meme came from. But anyway, heading back out of here and going along to the next stop. And I will spare you the long, painful minecart ride. Well, here we are, having arrived at the country estate area, and I'm not quite sure if this place is actually supposed to look that way, this way right here, like this here, because when I first arrived, I no sooner got out of the minecart, walked over here, looked this way, when this is what I saw. And as soon as it looked like that, Minecraft locked up and stayed that way until I had to kill Java. And as for why it was like that, I don't know. The crash logs indicate a whole crap ton of out-of-memory errors and so on. This is more of the reason why I don't like doing this on the laptop anymore. When I first started, laptop was the way to go. It was the only thing I had, and it worked great. It worked a lot better than this, as a matter of fact. But along the way, the laptop's built-in Intel POS graphics solution kind of got at least halfway fried, because now Nothing that involves OpenGL and Direct 3D and stuff like that works. Let's get rid of some of this weather, at least get rid of that lag. Much better. Okay, now this place, head back outside for a look at it. I ended up coming out here when Beta 1.8 was released and ended up building this house, which is copied directly from a mod that was popular at the time that I played with a little bit off camera. This country estate, minus the vines, that was a more recent touch, was copied directly out of that mod. It was called Millionaire. I don't even know if that mod is still in use or not, or still maintained or what, but I appreciated it for this design at least. It was pretty good design. It looks nice. It was easy to duplicate. Okay, over here, my cattle farm, and across the fence over there, a pig farm. Every time I come out here, I've been breeding the cows again to build them up to another obscene number of them. At one point, I had over 400 cows in here and almost as many pigs. And that was pretty good. Another thing that comes from around the Beta 1.8 era is the Cluckomatic version 1.0. This was not my creation. I copied it from, I don't even remember who did the video on it at the time, but they did a video showing the design and construction of it. It was a pretty good one. It worked great. Got a bunch of chickens in here, dispenser up here to shoot more eggs out there, and levers to control the egg throwing, and another one to hit a crusher to kill the chickens. Although generally speaking, I just AFK here to grab some eggs, and all these chests here are full of eggs, so that works for me. And this one I built entirely the mossy stone brick, because right around then there was this really cool bug with stone brick, that if you made stone brick stairs and faced them a certain direction, then when you broke them, you would get mossy stone brick. And so I made up a whole double chest of mossy stone brick that way. You know, okay, basic automated, well, semi-automated wheat farm. You still have to do the planting yourself, but hit the lever, opens up pistons back there, runs water through here, brings all the wheat and seeds down here. This needs to be upgraded to use hopper pipes and so on to collect all the wheat and seeds, a sorting mechanism to sort them into different chests and whatnot. The only downside is you still have to replant manually, which is why I didn't go any further than 3 tiers. It just would take too long. Although with all this lag I've got right now, it would take too long anyway. Let's see. Stairway going down to a skeleton XP farm. I don't remember if this stairway is still in service or not. No, it isn't. I closed it off because I built a different one. Okay. There's a skeleton spawner down there, and I set up a XP farm. It was the first one I built, I believe. And I ended up moving the entryway back here because I changed it out and I used slabs from stairways just to make it look better and be more epic and take in a lot more of the cave down here. There's a lot of cave down here. And there was some time around there I decided I wanted to kind of really build out this cave. And like so many projects, I've gotten distracted from it and ended up doing other things and never getting back to it. And before anybody takes a look at this and says, well, hey, Etho did this first. Well, yeah, Etho did do this first, building out a man cave and bringing down grass and trying to build a whole lot of stuff in here and whatnot. Yes, he did that first, and this was kind of inspired by what he did. There's a lot of lava and obsidian down there that needs to be taken care of and dealt with. There is an enormous amount of space in here for building all kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to go exploring it right now because this lag is so freaking painful. You know, it may be painful to watch, and I'll admit, yes, it's painful to watch. But it's even more painful to have to play through it. That's one of the spawners. The other one is over this way. They weren't close enough together to make a dual spawner, so I set it up here. And this ended up becoming my first XP farm. There's the output from another automated sugarcane farm. And I got a switch to turn the spawner off and on. And up here I can get maintenance access if I need to. And up here was the very first enchantment table. Up in there. And that's back when you actually needed 30 bookshelves to get the maximum out of an enchantment table. Spent a lot of time down here doing that stuff, and also building up the automated sugarcane farm, which probably, no probably to it. It definitely needs to be updated. What the? And that piston seems to have rotated for some unknown reason. This whole thing needs to be updated. It needs to have hoppers and hopper pipes and stuff like that added into the collection system so that it will work a little better. But I'm not going to even attempt it right now when I'm having to swim through all this lag. It's just, I'm doing good just to move around in this world, let alone do anything. And that's with everything else on the system shut down and so on. So it's just, oh God, this is painful to mess with. I will be so glad when the new system is completed. I have got the new cooling fan. I've got the new motherboard. There's memory on the way. There is a new tower case on the way. And hopefully before long I'll get to order the new CPU, which will be an i7. And then I can finally say goodbye to all of this lag. Alright, there's a lot down there to do. I'm going to have to watch through this video again later when I'm editing and take some notes about things that need to be worked on, added to, built onto, and improved. In some cases torn out and replaced with something else. But that's probably about it for this area. And we'll continue with another area next time. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out.